Good morning, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're doing very well today. Hope you are ready for yet another Modern Donation League featuring Golgari midrange, featuring Green Blackrock, but I can pretty much promise you, my friends, you have never seen a list quite like this. This 75 comes to us from Of the Veil tier supporter Mully, and Mully likes to mix it up. We've done a variety of gameplay of leagues and of theory videos for the donation leagues he has earned. However, we are back to the gameplay today, and the list is something that, as I say, I don't think you've ever quite seen a rock configuration like this before. At least I expect you have not. So let's talk about it. The first thing to mention is that I confess when Mully first brought this list to me, I met it with more than a little bit of skepticism. I suggested several changes, some of which were really structural and wide-ranging and deep-reaching, and others of which were like tweaks. Mully pushed back a little bit against some of the proposed deep changes, and I of course accepted that. It is the Donors League after all, and as we talked a little bit about the tweaks, and as he talked to me a little bit through some of the decision-making in terms of deck building, the more I talked about it, and the more I looked at it, the more I said, you know what? I'm actually just down. Let's basically just play it as is. We did make a couple tweaks, but we'll talk about those as we go through the list. This is basically Mully's core idea coming to us, and let's talk about the list in context of really what sets it apart from the normal BG rock list you would see flying around the queues today. Okay, so we'll begin at the end with the 75th card of the 75. Lurrus of the Dream Den is our companion. This, in and of itself, is a radical departure from the norm. These days, most people would play about 3 copies of Lurrus main deck, for reasons I've gone into in the past. And also, if they're not playing Lurrus main deck, they're probably not on Lurrus at all, right? That's kind of the most common, followed by second most common rock configuration. It's not that common to see rock players register Lurrus as a companion any longer. I don't believe, and even though I mentioned that Mully has kind of sold me on trying his list, I still don't believe that rock can leverage Lurrus as a companion as well as other decks can, that still do play him as a companion in their stock builds. However, there are many ways we can accommodate it as usual, and we've done that here. And there are also many omissions that we have to accept if we are registering Lurrus as companion. The most glaring one is no Liliana of the Veil, no Planeswalkers in general in the sideboard, unless we wanted to pivot to a plan where we're no longer declaring Lurrus as a companion. We also have to cut Plague Engineer, Ashiok Dreamrender, maybe Choke would be in the mix otherwise. These are definitely all cards that are very, very powerful. So is the free 8th card enough to make up for it? Well, it depends on just how well you can build around it. Let's take a look at the rest of the list. So the land base is, we've got 22 lands all day. The land base is actually where the tweaks were made. Everything else that you're about to see besides this was Mully's initial draft that he sent to me. I added a 3rd swamp, we added, I suggested it, Mully agreed, and also there were 23 lands overall, including Agadeem's Awakening. I think you can get away with playing as few as 20 in a Mishra's Bauble build. 21 might be the sweet spot. 22 is fine, especially if you've got a lot of utility, which we do. We'll get into that in a moment. But basically, the tweaks I proposed and that were accepted were I added a swamp and we cut Urborg for that. And then we also cut the 23rd land, which happened to be a treetop village, to play Hexdrinker number 4. Is this Snake Rock? Are we going to call it Snake Rock? Maybe Snakespear? Kind of like Shakespeare, because we've got some Shadowspear's main deck as well. We'll have to see how it performs, and then based on the performance, maybe we'll figure out a name for the deck. But in any case, back to the land base. It has become more stock after the tweaks, but still, the full 4 Field of Ruin, not necessarily a given right now, and Castle Locthwain over other utility lands, also not a given. Only 1 Nurturing Peatland. Partially, we're accounting for the kind of soft ceiling of 2 Pain lands, but also that will become a little bit more clear as we go through the spells in the deck. But that's the land base. We've got 4 Mishra's Bauble, which is a given with Lurrus. We've also got 2 main deck Nihil Spellbombs. Feels pretty good to be able to leverage that. Threatening the Lurrus loop, just a great card in the rock anyway. And then 2 copies of Shadowspear. This is one of many things that at first blush I was like, do we really want to play 2 at all? And if we are going down to 1, is the 1 even really main deckable? But as you look at the rest of the list, we will see exactly how Shadowspear can help make up for some of the other things that we're doing, and those other things that we're doing in turn make up for the absence of certain 3-drops. It is really kind of beautiful how it all comes together, and we'll see how it performs, right? But I do like some of the deck building that's going on. So notoriously on the channel, I said Shadowspear would rock, and then I've almost never, I think, played it on the channel. I've registered it in my sideboard as a 1 of a fair amount of the time. I just never see it, right? So maybe today we'll finally get to see a lot of Shadowspear at long last. But moving on, 4 copies of Fatal Push, and we have 7 total discard spells, 3 Inquisition, and a full 4 Thoughtseize. So to really stop and explain this one, Thoughtseize times 4, Dark Confidant times 4. We are stretching the ability of Rock to accommodate painful spells to its absolute max. However, we do have Lurrus as a companion who has lifelink. We do have some Shadowspear's main deck to get that lifelink as well. And in the absence of Ashiok, and in the absence of maybe other hate effects, we are leaning into Surgical Extraction times 2, and we want the lines of Thoughtseize the Titan, Thoughtseize maybe even the Tron payoff, and Surgical it, since we are not able to play other ways to beat big mana, really. So that's an example of something that at first glance looks like we're missing out on some powerful stuff, and maybe I don't quite understand how it all fits together, but upon further explanation, I'm like, you know what? I can be down. So 4 Thoughtseize, definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And the full 4 Hexdrinker, again, the 4th one was kind of added at my behest. I think if we are not playing Planeswalkers, we are less reliably going to attrition the opponents out with well-timed disruption followed by a Liliana. Therefore, 1-for-1s can't get you over the line forever, as unfortunately we know. So I really wanted to lean all the way into Hexdrinker as a true win condition that, if we have disrupted enough, can beat any opponent, right? And also, of course, just playing 4 1-drop threats makes a lot of sense with Lurrus as our companion. In the 2-drop slot, no surprises here, given what I've already said. 4 Bob, 4 Goyf, 2 Scavenging Ooze. We've got a 3rd Scavenging Ooze on the side. Again, it's not something you see every day, but that's what we're doing today. And then 3 copies of Assassin's Trophy, 2 copies of Maelstrom Pulse. No Abrupt Decay, but Molly has made a good, clean selection as far as the removal is concerned, and I do definitely respect that. I do like that a lot. Maelstrom Pulse has been good for me lately. It's going to be nice to play 2. I haven't done that in a really long time. Moving on to the sideboard, we've already mentioned 2 copies of Surgical Extraction. We've got 2 copies of Deadweight. Nice loopable removal for weenies alongside Lurrus. We've got 2 copies of Go for the Throat. I don't know if I've ever played this card on this channel before. It is definitely an interesting one. You can always, if you want this effect, choose between this, Cast Down, Heartless Act. But right now, without many artifacts in the format, I think Go for the Throat's definitely fine. And we've got 3 copies of Veil of Summer, of the card that should be banned. But in especially lacking the Planeswalkers in our deck, I really think it's a great idea for Molly to lean almost all the way into Veil of Summer with 3 copies. 2 copies of Engineered Explosives. We are really, really, really well configured post-side to beat small creature decks if the creatures stay dead. We might lack in other ways, but there are ways we can piece things together, such as the Thoughtseize into Surgical line, or such as beating red deck wins, just like instead of brutalities and with other life gain effects, just with life link and a pile of removal. So we'll see how all that plays out. But 2 EE and 2 Grafdigger's Cage, and of course this is something I pointed out, it is a little non-Bowie with Lurrus, but Molly made a good case for it in the meta overall, and there is some truth to the fact that, if you've got your cage locking out the opponent, and your own Lurrus can't buy things back, you're probably in a good position anyway. So despite the non-bow, that's what we're doing. So Mully, thank you so much, my friend, for your many months of very generous support. I truly do appreciate you. Appreciate all Patreon supporters as well, and all viewers. So this is an unorthodox rock list. We have to christen it with a name as we go through the league, and let's hope the league goes well for us. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, friends. Companion has been declared. Opening hand has been drawn. We're on the draw. We've got 3 pieces of 1 mana interaction. Yeah, this is a definite keep, especially with the opponent mulling. We do have 2 lands. We just don't have a green land yet, so the Scooze is going to be pretty bad. But definite keep, if you ask me. Opponent's got the Lurrus Avi, but no Lurrus Companion. I've got some lag going on, apologies for that. Hopefully that clears up in the near future, but right now we're still lagging. Opponent's gone Balaged Sanctuary. Opponent about to draw Blood Moon. Interesting. Okay, so let's see here. So they can power out a moon next turn if we don't take a ritual, or even if we do, because they can play a land. I don't know if they're going to want to moon themselves off of Recross the Paths, though. I think I'm going to take Recross. It looks like the least redundant piece of the hand to me. I could very well be wrong about that decision, though. I'm still very, very inexperienced in this matchup. We have drawn Verdant Catacombs, so if the opponent doesn't go for the moon right away, we'll be able to get green online. Okay, there's Shatterskull. They're holding up Valakut Awakening. About to draw another Blood Moon. Interesting. Well, Assassin's Trophy seems pretty good, just as a Stone Rain effect. But I guess there's no need to do it right now. Yep, we'll let this happen, and then we're going to hit a land after. Not sure which one to hit. I'm just going to hit green. You're not going to see very informed decisions here, so I'm just going to kind of make them and not waste too much time thinking about them. Opponent plays a red land. Probably don't really know anything meaningful about their hand any longer. But we're about to with this Thoughtseize, so let's begin there. Alright, Blood Moon, don't care, Recross the Paths, sure, and then a Simian Guide. Alright, time to go to town with the 2/2. Alright, Lurrus is in hand, Spellbomb's in the yard, or on the field, rather. And we've drawn Bauble as well. Lead on Bauble. Opponent about to draw Irencrag Feet. Yeah, that could be scary. We draw Field of Ruin, so we'll be able to spike a land if they don't have, like, Simian, Ritual, Irencrag Feet this turn. P about to draw Seagate, whatever that's called. We draw Pulse. Okay. Just going to keep looping Bauble. We're doing a lot here, my friends. Doing a lot as far as disruption goes. Trophy was huge there, I have to imagine, on turn 2, and now Field of Ruin serving us similarly. Couple pushes aren't really doing anything for us, but I guess we'll live. That's the concession. All right, a true disruption progression from us. And we did just have lethal on board there after a bit of a slow clock, but yeah, it definitely seems really good for us. I do wish I knew more about exactly how to sideboard against this deck. Let me take a quick look at their list. It's been a minute since I've seen it, and I don't have much experience to begin with. Be right back. Alright, so we definitely have more bad cards than good ones. It's going to really depend on their build exactly if Grafdigger's Cage does anything, but I'm thinking Fatal Push does just about literally nothing. You could argue leaving one in for to deal with a hard-cast Simian Guide. Either way, these are cards that we'll be holding in hand unless we have absolutely nothing else to do, so whatever. I need to get reps in against this deck, because I'm just really still out of my depth against it. Sorry about that, but we know the basics, and with that in mind, the double Shadowspear opener looks so bad. If only one of these was a threat, this would be a snap keep. It's a little sketchy to just say we should keep it anyway because of Inquisition, because they're probably sideboarding into Leyline of Sanctity and or Veil of Summer. Oof. Double Shadowspear. Let me just see what the opponent does, I guess, right? We have 7 discard spells. It's not that unreasonable to mulligan and think we'll probably hit another one. I don't know how good Surgical is going to be. It really depends if this Inquisition hits. Yeah, I think I'm going to send it back. I think we need a threat. Alright, we still have Inquisition and a threat. Couple threats. We have Trophy. This is a definite keep. Obviously, we need to draw a second land, but I'm into it. Do we bottom Shadowspear? Maybe Scavenging Ooze? Bottom Shadowspear. Opponent's down to 5, and they could, keep Leyline and take it from there, but obviously great news for us. I'm just happy we have a Tarmogoyf and a Trophy. Obviously, Inquisition will be great if it hits. But those are probably good almost no matter what the opponent's doing. We've drawn Mishra's Bauble, which is pretty nice. Going to inform our Inquisition and also hopefully hit us the second land. Opponent about to draw Balaged Recovery. Got it. Okay, so they're going to draw their second land. They're both going to be green. I'm sorry, they already have a red land as well. I think we're just taking Recross the Paths again. The line to Surgical Recross is definitely live, but we don't need to do it yet because we know they're not drawing it off the top. It is something we should keep in mind. We have drawn our Blooming Marsh. That's pretty nice. Yeah, hey, if you're a patron, or if you're in the Discord, or if you're on my friends list or something, and you own this deck and you want to get reps in against me, I probably kind of need them, right? I could definitely stand to play some games against this and get more comfy, but so they've played Shatterskull. Their hand is basically green land, blue land, ritual. I'm kind of tempted to just trophy the red land right now, take a turn off of Goyf. I'm going to do it. We've drawn another trophy, so... Whoa! Did they sideboard into a basic mountain? That's crazy. Okay, see, this is the type of thing I have no idea about. Makes sense, though. Kind of. Okay, what did they draw? Oh, they drew Belcher. Well, good thing we have another trophy in hand. It's really lucky for us. Really, really lucky for us. I guess I took a line that got pretty punished, but never didn't have the other trophy, right? And they don't have another basic that they sided into, so that's good. And I think on their draw step, I'm going to Surgical Trophy. Or, excuse me, Surgical Goblin Charbelcher. They drew Leyline of Sanctity for a turn. Yeah, I am okay with that. Let's see if they have an alternative win condition. I'm obviously they do. They haven't scooped, and we'll see exactly how they sided. There's one Veil of Summer, 3 more Leylines. Recross the Paths. Blood Moon can kind of be a win con. I don't really know what else I'm seeing, but I'm not going to worry about it. As you can tell, I don't have the expertise anyway, so just take another look for anything that looks unorthodox. Don't really see it. They buy back Recross the Paths, got it. Okay, play the dummies, time to beat. Opponent's hand is Recross and Leyline. So now what happens here? Oh, okay, empty the Warrens? I guess I didn't see that. Interesting. Man, see, I'm a little behind the times. I read into the deck, excuse me, when it first came out, and reading into it is one thing, getting experience playing against it is another, so I was like, kind of up on what the builds looked like, and maybe how to sideboard and all the rest, but still wasn't that comfortable. And then I didn't see this deck for a long time, and as you guys know, I don't get to play that much right now, so these are all things I haven't seen before. The Empty the Warrens, the sideboard, a basic Mountain Inn plan, and whatever the opponent's doing here, yeah, I'm a bit in the dark. So hopefully we've disrupted, I know we've disrupted meaningfully. Hopefully it's been in a relatively coherent way. And we'll just wait for the opponent to resolve this spell. Alright, I'm going to bottom a Bauble there, I guess. Could go either way with that one. Verdant Catacombs. Sure. Alright. Guess we're just supposed to go as wide as possible here. I didn't see any reason not to. Deploying those grizzly bears. Yeah, Reforge obviously makes sense, and unless I'm missing something, I guess the play is going to be to set up and empty the Warrens maybe next turn. If they can. It's really good to get Hellbent in the face of that Reforge. Finding a couple Inquisitions seems pretty good, but let's see what the opponent can do with their fresh 7. Yeah, Monomorphos, obviously a pretty good card under most circumstances. We have not drawn a Maelstrom Pulse to beat empty, but we do have Shadowspear in hand that can trample over the tokens, and if I pretended that I was planning for that during sideboarding and all the rest, I would just be lying to you. I would just be lying, my friends. Yep, a massive empty. If we draw Maelstrom Pulse, the game becomes very simple. We don't, so Shadowspear, equip the Goyf, attack, play another Goyf. Is that the line? I'm sorry, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I was just conflating Shadowspear with something else entirely. I believe I was saying this could, they couldn't block. That's not true at all. I don't know why I was thinking like Questing Beast, maybe because Trample in Life, ball of text, basically. But I guess I'm not awake yet. That's going to be my excuse. Anyway, Shadowspear is still going to be really good at swinging the combat here. I'm just uncertain if I should be Inquisitioning after all this. Opponent says for real. I know, right? Are there any creatures to eat? No. So yeah, we're just going to attack, play another Goyf, assume it's going to be good enough. I think this block makes a lot of sense out of the opponent. I wonder if they can buy back empty. That could be maybe a problem for us, but like buy back empty and go again. All right, this is fine. This is the strangest. Yeah, sure. It's one of the strangest games I've played in a while. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. And that is fine. Maybe attacking with the Scoozes was just bad. I'm just kind of blundering my way through this game. Given the lifelink, I suppose we were probably supposed to stay back with Scoozes. I didn't realize, and I didn't think until, like, during blocks that maybe the opponent could buy back empty and do another one. I was thinking, okay, we beat these 20 goblins this one time and we'll be pretty set. Scoozes are relatively low value, but the more I think of it, the more I'm thinking, as a 2-2 warding off their attacks, it's fine. It's going to grow the Goyf. It can grow by eating this Goyf, excuse me, because we always knew they were going to mob block that one. And also, if they do have a way to buy back empty, maybe Skoos could have competed over that. So these are the exact type of things that I would be identifying if I'd played against this match more than like once or twice back when it came out. But as it is, you'll have to endure my misplays, and we'll hope it's good enough. We'll go on mute again while the opponent resolves another Recross the Paths. Alright, we've got a Hexdrinker. Oh, opponent will resolve their Recross, then concede. Fair enough. Alright, apologies for missing some lines there, and also just misremembering temporarily what Shadowspear did, but we do get there. Our list seems interestingly configured against this deck. Obviously, really rewarded for the 3 Assassin's Trophies, which feels so good here. There's probably no matchup where it feels worse to draw an Abrupt Decay, because Trophy can Stone Rain them for 2. It's a sinkhole, basically, at instant speed. Or it can hit the Charbelcher. And we saw both of those things be very, very relevant here. Shadowspear coming up big, it being the lifelink that helps swing. Lifelink and Trample helping swing the combat against all the goblins. And I don't know that I earned that win in the least, but we did enough to get there. So good enough for me. Hopefully we don't play this again on the channel until I know how to play against it a little bit better. But even this was a really good learning experience for me, and we'll go on to round 2. On the play here for round 2. So far so good, and it is a keep. Our interaction, it's questionable as to exactly how well it will line up, but it is a definite keep. We've got so much potential for redraw. We're going to play a turn 1 Savannah Lions, which can't be beat, and the opponent's going to mulligan deep again. Are we by chance against the same matchup? Who knows? But deep mulligans are always good for us, even if it is at the end of the mulligan some progression that we can't beat. Well, we had a better shot of beating it than if they had kept a similar progression, but with more resources, am I right? So opponent all the way down to 4. Wow. Well, if the whole league goes like this, then I will be the last one to complain about it. Definitely feels good, my friends. Feels really good. Okay. Info time. Bobbling the opponent. Turn Timber Symbiosis. Okay, well, looks like we're going to be casting Trophy on a land yet again. So to that end, we don't need to crack the second Bauble too aggressively. We can just use it to get maximal information, I guess. Agadeem the Undercrypt. Okay, I see black. Does that mean this is oops all spells? I'm not certain. But I think I'm supposed to assume that we're going to trophy them successfully here. Just in case we don't, I guess we'll attack first. I'm going to go for it. Nice. Assassin's Trophy OP. Opponent about to draw Undercity Informer. Got it. Oops, all spells confirmed. There's the land we knew about. They're going to go Simian Guide into Talisman. Okay. Well, Thoughtseize at this spot seems good. Tarmogoyf and Spellbomb both seem quite good in this matchup as well. But I think I'm going to Thoughtseize away the Undercity Informer. Well, there's 2 of them, so not really rewarded for that, are we? But, okay, another deck which is really different from the norm, and I don't have the experience, but even if they draw a land, they will not be able to go off this turn. So they need a 4th mana, so I'm going to get the beater down, and then next turn we'll just hold up Spellbomb for the rest of the game. They do draw land, but it ETB's tapped. Show them the Spellbomb. And they'll concede. I thought they might. I was just going to go shields down with a redraw and put Hexdrinker to a 4-4 to get him on a 2-turn clock, but not necessary. All right, guys. Well, so far so good. Once again, I'm going to look up a list and mute. I will be right back. I just want to see what the current transformational sideboard plan is looking like, if I can find that out in a couple minutes. Alright, so the recent lists I'm seeing don't really have a transformational sideboard plan, but a lot of them are playing Thoughtseizes, which makes me want Veil of Summer. Cage, Scooze, Surgical, like the Graveyard Hate, it all seems pretty good. Probably supposed to sideboard out of slower removal spells, so I can cut pulses. I don't know if we're supposed to leave any number of push in to like tag an Informer that they want to play under discard, but they don't have the ability to activate quite yet. I don't know. I'm going to trim stuff that has higher variance, so I think we're just going to maybe cut a Hexy a little slow. Is it right to trim discard at all here? Probably not. Probably just going to cut 3 Fatal Pushes and see how this goes. And we'll see if they're doing anything that is unexpected as well, in terms of their tech that they're bringing to bear. Well, these are like really straightforward matchups in a vacuum, but for me, with my inexperience in the matchups, they have been very skill testing so far. I think this hand is a definite keep. Well, is it a definite keep? I don't know. Maybe I walk that back. There's a lot to like, but it actually doesn't have any Graveyard Hate. So I was just kind of thinking, I got a little bit too tunnel visioned on the balance of threats in Veil of Summer and also Field of Ruin. I think on the play, that would be really nice, because remember, Field's going to be a Stone Rain. On the draw, I'm not sure if we should mulligan to Graveyard Hate or maybe to Trophy, discard. Definitely a borderline one. I don't know. I think I'm going to mulligan, but let the record state it is a judgment call. I'll keep this one. We got Scooze and Trophy, so some quicker disruption. It's a more unbalanced hand, but I'm going to keep it. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. What do we send back here? Maybe just Castle Locthwain. Sure. I want to respect their potentiality for Thoughtseize or for other forms of interaction. Don't necessarily want to bottom like a Bob for that reason. Although otherwise, maybe we could. Opponent will be happy at 5. We're rewarded for bottoming a land because we just draw a green one instead. Not bluffing Veil of Summer, sorry. Pentad Prism from OP. Okay, us with an Inquisition. So trophying a land is... Or we could just Trophy Prism, set them back by 2. Actually seems pretty good. But Inquisition also seems pretty good. I think I'm going to go for the Trophy here and assume they're not sideboarding in a basic land, but I could get punished for this, as you well know. Alright, so we basically turn Trophy into a naturalize effect there. Ooh, they got another Prism. Okay. Well, now it's definitely Inquisition time. They have 2 natural states and a Salvage Titan in hand. Okay. Do we want to play Scooze or Goyf here? I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm going to play Goyf because I don't think it's realistic that we're going to hold up Scooze activations all that much. We could also just play Dark Confidant, which would be fine. I think I might actually play Bob here because we are only attacking for 1 more with the Goyf at the moment, and the main reason to play Goyf is just to get him dead as quickly as possible. I think Dark Confidant has every chance of achieving that between the beats for 2 and the draws. Yeah, and we found a land thanks to Bob. And a second Tarmogoyf, so let's just go to town here. With a huge board. Good job, Bob. So, opponent very much on a 2-turn clock. Will have the full luxury to hold up Scoo's activations from here on out. I don't think like playing 1 Scoo's and holding up 2 activations was correct. And rather than playing double Tarmogoyf there, right? Okay. So Fatal Push, Scavenging Ooze, sure. All this stuff is fine. Under the circumstances. Okay, OP at 5, and I'm just going to play a Scooz and say go. That is the game. All right, well, 2 really easy wins that my unfamiliarity made more difficult than I'm sure they needed to be. I feel more comfortable against Oops All spells. It's just more intuitive to understand. And also, we have a very high density, it seems, of things to do, but you guys can let me know how you would sideboard here as well as in round 1. But we are cruising on the back of Assassin's Trophy more than any other card. But the whole core Golgari suite of both creatures and of interaction looking amazing thus far against the MDFC combo decks. We're 2-0, 4-0. Let's go on to round 3. On the play for round 3, Lurrus has been mostly a bystander, but always good to have him around. I think this is a keep in the blind. We've got Assassin's Trophy, and as you can see, it's the most powerful card in Modern. No, in all seriousness, it is a keep. We can go turn 1 Hexy and then take it from there. If we are incentivized to just play a Dark Confidant, that'll be great. If we're against another MDFC deck, we're going to Stone Rain them turn 2 and on turn 3 with Trophy into field, all while beating down with Savannah Lions. And if we're against a more normal deck, then we'll hopefully have the ability to get there one way or the other with a relatively balanced hand. I don't want to be against a deck that's going to tax our basics, though, because we've already drawn 2 and we could be looking at getting a 3rd with Field of Ruin, right? Opponent is probably on a Path to Exile deck going Temple Garden into Birds of Paradise. We have drawn Mishra's Bauble. Okay. I'm going to begin by bobbling the opponent, but we're almost certainly going to push the bird. Strangleroot Geist. Whoa. Yeah, I'm only used to seeing this card in Yawgmoth, and I'm not used to seeing white in Yawgmoth, but okay. I think I am going to push the bird and put a level on Hexy. How interesting. How very, very interesting indeed. Drawn Thoughtseize. Probably not as good as it looks, simply because we are a little low on the old black mana here, and there's a real tension between it and Bob. Opponent's just going to play another bird, though. Do they have a 3rd dork? Okay, Abzan. Yeah, they do. Gilded Goose. Wow. All right. I think I'm supposed to Thoughtseize here. Maybe we'll draw black land and get to play Bob too. If not, we'll just make Hexdrinker 4/4. We draw Inquisition. Interesting. So we know Inquisition will hit. I'm worried about them being on Yawgmoth that's splashing white for some reason. So I still kind of sort of want to Thoughtseize rather than okay? This is tough. It's a tough, tough call. The alternative, of course, is to Inquisition now because we know it'll hit, and then maybe Thoughtseize is more likely to hit the following turn. But I mean, Hexdrinker is going to be a level 4. Maybe we can beat Yawgmoth anyway. if that's even what they have. So I'm going to Inquisition. Like, even if they do have Yawgmoth, taking Geist is pretty good. Let's Inquisition. Keep our life total as high as possible this way, too. They have Skyclave Apparition, Eldritch Evolution, Strangleroot Geist. Wow, okay. I'm guessing this is Yawgmoth splashing for Apparition, and I think we kind of need to take it, because Hexdrinker is going to do a lot of work otherwise. Obviously, Geist into Evolution is a little tough, but right now they can't cast it. If they draw a land off the top, that's punishing. But I'm going to take Apparition, make them do that, and make them beat what we've got. Opponent just taking the hit. You know, maybe they'll just evolution into another apparition, but I think that's a decent outcome for us, too. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Okay. I think that's okay under the circumstances. They're using a lot of resources to do that, compared to being able to, like, evolution a Geist into something good. Let's make sure we know. I think there's still a Gilded Goose in their hand, but I'm going to double check. Yes, there's still a Gilded Goose in their hand, so they've kind of spent their resources, at least so far. We've drawn Goyf. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to Thoughtseize away the Goose, even though we don't strictly need to play a Goyf. It's a nice draw simply because it's a threat we can play off of that Greenland. Uh-oh. No, opponent draws a third apparition? Oh, that's so rough. That's actually really scary. Incredible draw from OP. Okay, we're on the ropes now. Drawing Shadowspear, huh? I'm just going to play Bob and Shadowspear, still holding onto the trophy. At least we could double spell there. It's not bad. Opponent just shipping in with the Geist. It's either just the Geist or attack with both apparitions, and it probably depends to a large degree on what they've drawn. Yawgmoth splashing for white for apparition. Well, the card has been very strong since it came out, and it's been incredible here. I'm going to take that hit. Opponent just untaps. It could be representing Court of Calling. Bob flips painlessly. Scavenging Ooze as well. That's pretty good, not going to lie. Alright, the basic awkwardness continues. I'm just going to assume they're not playing Path to Exile here. But we have to really respect our life total. So I'm going to go Scooze pass. I think, rather than equip Shadowspear, right? Yeah, I like holding up Trophy in case they have Cord. I like just eating something with Scooze if we don't need to Trophy anything. Obviously, the Scooze activation is good at beating Undying. Did they find Yogg? They found Geralf's Messenger, huh? Okay. Yep. I'm torn between, let's assume they have nothing else. I'm torn between trophying an apparition because it's mana efficient and because the illusion is actually pretty good right here, and just saving it for a more opportune moment, or a more opportune target, maybe. Man, I can't believe they found another apparition off the top. Okay. Think I'm just gonna kind of make them make the first move in terms of beating the Skoos here. Skoos really kind of run away with the game. We're drawing 2 cards with Bob per turn. Flip a Goyf. Okay. Thoughtseize. This stuff's all a little underwhelming right now. But I think it's the same play pattern as last turn where we just play the Goyf and say go, holding up trophy or Skoos activation. I'm going to trade Bob if they all-out attack. They probably won't all-out attack unless they draw like another something to make that good. Maybe a Geist or whatever. No attack. Wall of Roots, sure. Okay, I'm going to continue playing conservatively here. Just gaining some life, beefing up the Scoozy, and then maybe we'll suit up Goyf with a Spear. We'll see what Bob yields. Nihil Spellbomb, Overgrown Tomb. It's just risky if they have removal, right? But it's so good if they don't that I think I'm going for it. Yep, I'm going deep here. Shadowspear, equip the Goyf. We are threatening like a collective brutality kill, technically, if they don't block at all. Wow, fascinating game here. Okay, 5 to the wall, 1 to the OP, and much more importantly right now, we gain 6 life. Which I think I'm forced to assume under the circumstances is going to be enough for us to stay alive in conjunction with Skoos and or Trophy. Plus Bob to block on top of that. Alright, let's see what opponent's last card is. Is it Yawg? It is. Dang. Okay, I don't know if they were slow rolling him or if they just top decked him. It's obviously pretty scary. But they're all tapped out with mana, just about. So while we could respond to this with a trophy, I almost think we want to just let them do as much as they can. Like, we hope they don't draw a green Mana Dork off of this so they can play another thing. I think we're just going to let Yawgmoth kind of do its thing. And we're going to try to interrupt the loops with Scavenging Ooze. And Skoos has a lot of room to absorb those -1/-1 counters. I'm happy that Spice Master Connor had me play Yawgmoth for a recent donation league. Otherwise, I would be about as lost at navigating the real finer points of this as I was against the MDFC combo decks. As it is, I have a pretty good idea of what Yawgmoth is up to. and they just let the floated mana expire, which is the statistically likely thing, and also obviously really good for us. I'm going to eat a couple things here. Probably supposed to leave one Scooze activation up so they can't go too crazy if we go shields down. Maybe they don't really have the life to do so anyway, but we'll just play it safe here. Sun tap. Bob flips a painless green land. Well, it'll be painful to tap, but you get what I'm saying here. All right, I don't think we can really lose if we trophy Yawgmoth. Make them do all of their stuff here with us having full autonomy to respond. Wish I could cast Thoughtseize off of this Field of Ruin, like if it was just a mono black land, that would be cool. As it is, we can still cast Spellbomb, but, you know, on the off chance they have another Yawgmoth in hand, it would be kind of cool to Thoughtseize, but again, I don't know if we can really lose from here. Opponent has to make some really bad blocks here, and we get to clean it all up with Scooze. We get to gain another ton of life. I mean, maybe it's possible that swinging all out we can't lose either, but again, just kind of playing it cautiously here. Yeah, maybe a more aggressive attack forces the opponent to throw away their whole board. Who knows? But either way, we get to clean up the back half. Now that that's happened, I could Thoughtseize, but I still think it's better to hold up the Scooze activations here, with 2 activations and a Nihil Spellbomb in case of emergency. I really don't know how the opponent can win through this. And the life totals are now 19-1. So it seems like it's much ado about nothing, but I would have kind of expected the opponent to maybe scoop to the trophy or scooped last turn or something. So we'll remain cautious here. Evoing the young wolf. All right, I will bite, I guess, on the Undying trigger. It's hard to go wrong with that play. I guess they're going to get the 4th Skyclave Apparition, which is pretty annoying, but yep. They're going to exile the Shadowspear? Okay. And they're hellbent, and we're drawing 2 per turn. Well, I guess we're only drawing lands, so Bob has been remarkably painless, but we don't really need that anymore. Drawn trophy. Sure. Doesn't matter much what we do. I'm just going to trophy the messenger while I can freely eat it. And force OP to cash in all of their apparitions. They're really sticking it out, though. Gotta give credit for that. Alright, let's summon this army of blue illusions. Feels pretty cool. Not something you see every day. Rock bringing 3 blue illusions across 2 different PT configurations to the field, but that's what this league is like. Alright, OP, the concession finally comes through. I do unironically admire that. Opponent playing to every out, and when you play Skyclave Apparition, you have a lot more outs than you otherwise would. That card, whew, what a card. What a card. Pretty well designed, I would say. And, yeah, a nice win for us. Grafdigger's Cage is a really nutty hate card against Yawgmoth. It's going to shut off Undying, shut off the search effects that they play to some degree. Yeah. Cool. There's going to be... definitely going to play Scooze. There's going to be a lot of scope to bring in more plain old removal, but we probably won't have room for all of it. I would put Surgical in that category. Their deck might not necessarily fall apart to a Surgical, and using a Surgical to beat the second half of Undying and pay life potentially to do so is a little sketchy, but we could definitely play it. Finally, if they bring an interaction, their green-black Veil of Summer could be good, but I'm not going to play it. Number 1, we already have every other card in the sideboard that we're at least considering, and number 2, they're clearly splashing white specifically for interaction, so not playing Veil. Shadowspear as a one-of can swing the race pretty well. I think I might still cut one just because when you have a 2 of legendary equipment that's not like a build around, I think it's an easy enough cut. Probably siding out a couple of Bobs here. Maybe trimming a Thoughtseize and an Inquisition, getting a little more interested in answering the board. I think I might trim a Hexdrinker too. We got to be mindful of getting our X1s blown out by an early Yawgmoth. But at the same time, Hexy and Bob are both still very reasonable. So you could definitely argue to skew the scale in either direction here, but I do think this feels about right, and I'm going to sideboard in maybe 1 Surgical, and then what are our 2 best removal spells? Go for the Throat, kills everything, including Yawg. Dead Weight is loopable, kills a lot of stuff, including Apparition for only 1 mana. Doesn't kill Yawgmoth, though. And then EE has really high upside and is also loopable. I think we have enough 1-drops still in that I'm probably just going to play 2 Go for the Throats. And we'll see how this configuration feels. If they do beat us, then we can reconfigure, especially because our incentives will change on the play. Oh, it's a 1-lander in the 1-land's Field of Ruin. I'm going to mulligan, even though the Field of Ruin can cast Nihil Spellbomb and Shadowspear. Yeah, I'm still have to mulligan this. Alright, this is more balanced. I will keep it. I think we're going to bottom Shadowspear. Makes us do nothing on turn 1 unless we draw a spell for CMC 0 or 1, but I think Dark Confidant's our only creature. We have to keep that. Double Maelstrom Pulse. We have to hope that's good enough, having mulliganed. If opponent's going to play really reactively with Veil of Summer, that could work to our advantage. I am going to play Swamp in order to continue incentivizing them to do that, and we've drawn Scoo, so we're just secretly not doing any of that. We're just going to play creatures and then hopefully make them tap out. They play a Geist. Yeah, that's rough. Such a good turn 2 play I found while I was on that deck for the Donation League. Alright, play the Scoos. Bob has a higher upside, and we arguably hate less to lose Bob to a removal spell, so playing Bob there was definitely an option, right? But Scoozy gets decayed. You hate to see it. You really hate to see it. Fatal Push. This is all very unexciting, isn't it? Guess we're just going to play a Bob. It is possible that the opponent will go turn 4 Yawgmoth, cash in the Geist to kill the Bob, which would be a disaster, but at least we would then get to Fatal Push the Yawgmoth off of Revolt, and our hand isn't really doing anything else besides, like, telling us to play threats here, right? So, I'm going to take the hit. We have to hope to get lucky here. That's for sure. Alright, OP will follow up with... Yeah, it is Yawgmoth. Took him a minute, but that is kind of what I foresaw. So that resolves first. And then we get to push, and they'll decide whether to turn that Geist into a new card, I guess. This just resolves. Alright. I draw another land. Not good, not good. So we're just putting Lurrus into hand, and the Pulse is looking pretty bad against this Geist that could really solo us, but Shadowspear wouldn't be doing us any favors either. So our creatures cannot stick. At this point, we're kind of just hoping the opponent's flooded. You know, if they are continuing to curve out with some really impactful stuff, I don't really see us getting there, shy of some nut draws in the next draw step or two. Even if we, like, naturally draw another Scooze, the pulses are so clunky that we're not really able to do our thing all that well. Yeah, Geralf's Messenger. You know, this is all just, like, decent value stuff, and often Yawgmoth will win games this way. I'm going to play for the high upside of being able to stabilize to the point where we're rewarded for fetching a tapped Shockland there, but we could have played through the Urborg if we wanted to operate off of just one green. Alright, well, Lurrus giving us a lifeline where we would not otherwise have one. And I'm just going to buy back a Scavenging Ooze as a Grizzly Bear for now, and can the opponent beat us this turn? If not, maybe, just maybe, Lurrus can take over. But we have to be careful. I mean, we're dead to so much, and we kind of have to block something here anyway, because if they just attack and we let it through, we dead to another hard-cast Messenger from hand. So I think our odds are pretty low, but we mulliganed, we were on the draw, opponent's progression's really, really solid, and we have not drawn much. So Lurrus is something that's great to be able to reach for under all of those circumstances. Still don't expect it will be enough. OP will evolve the Messenger. Okay, will we see Yawgmoth, or will we maybe see a card like Cavalier of Night? Either way, it's going to be bad news for us, right? Just another Yawg. Quote-unquote just another Yawg, right? Opponent then floating from the food token with the Goose. Going to cash in the Goose, I guess. Start looping. And now they have the combo, right? Messenger and Geist will loop. Just make sure the opponent knows it. Yep. Okay. GG, GG. Pretty typical way Yawgmoth can win a post-side game against a deck like ours on the play. Let's see, we're on the play now. I think I kind of like how we configured. The Shadowspear still just sketches me out because I don't know. It seems to amplify however the game is going. Like, if we're slightly ahead, it can pull us further ahead. If we're slightly behind, it can be dead. I think I'll leave it in. We've got a pretty okay configuration. The one thing I want to ask myself here is, do we want to, like, swap out a Go for the Throat for an EE on the play? Like, going EE on 1 on the play is definitely intriguing. I don't know, it just feels so bad if we're losing to 3 and 4, and maybe even larger drops with the EE in hand. So I'm gonna lean into Go for the Throat. It's got to be in here for a reason, right? Its time is to shine right here, right now. And we didn't really draw a great representation of our post-side 60 last game anyway, even considering them all. This hand's fine. It's got a ton of interaction and 2 redraws, and it's functional enough. No threat, but good enough to keep, I think. Let's see the opponent mull now. That would be ideal here, with us leading on Inquisition on the play. Not going to get it veiled right away. Opponent will indeed mulligan. You love to see it, my friends. You really do. They're going to be content with 6. Opponent about to draw Godless Shrine. The white splash still very much in evidence. And then our Inquisition sees a 1-lander that's about to become a 2-lander with double Fatal Push, Gilded Goose, Young Wolf. Just going to probably take... They also have Court of Calling. I'm still probably going to take Young Wolf. It's going to be a long time before they can Chord. Maybe we'll draw another discard spell. And Goose dies much more cleanly to push. So, yeah, I'm just going to take Young Wolf. This is a match where I really wish we had Liliana. Because part of why a discard is good is you punch a hole in their game plan, and then Liliana takes over, and she could just +1/+1 get rid of the pushes, the chords, if it all went well, right? But we don't have that, so it is a little sketchy to leave a lot of these cards in here, but I still think Young Wolf is our take. Okay, we've hit a basic swamp. Opponent goes land into Goose as we knew. They're about to draw another land. Okay. All right, Baubles. Well, we've drawn a Tarmogoyf. It's just going to trade with their Fatal Push if we run it out, so I think I'm just simply pushing their Goose here. I wonder if our fields can take them off of white. So we know their whole hand. I think we're just going to put Lurrus into hand this turn, most likely. Yeesh, we're flooding. We're flooding, it's not good. But we've got the ability to use our mana efficiently. Ooh, they cash in the food token. That could actually be really good for us just to gain 3 life, because now they might not have Revolt to take care of Lurrus. I think we're supposed to test them for it. Especially because we're just getting an X for 1, even if they can Revolt push it next turn. So that is potentially a sequencing error from the opponent. But maybe they also just have an answer anyway. I don't know. I think I'm supposed to bauble myself here to control the draw because we have this fetch land. But bobbling the opponent, getting a chance to play the Blooming Marsh is also good. But I'm going to bauble myself here. We're about to draw Dark Confidant. I think I'm going to shuffle him away. There's an argument for keeping any action, right? But as far as action goes, that's among the worst, because it does just straight die to push, and also if they like find a Yawgmoth, they can easily kill it if things start going bad for us. Opponent plays a basic forest. Are we just going to loop them out of the game with Lurrus because they cashed their food token in? Looks like it. Let's go. That's awesome. That's so exciting. Especially because our deck is not doing us any favors here with the natural draws, so we need all the draws we can get. So we've got the big X for one with Lurrus. We don't want to field them because we don't want to turn on Fatal Push. I guess we can bauble just in case. Yeah, they're going to draw another chord. Yeah, I'm just not going to do anything except attack. Really weird game, but... Oh, whoa, what's this? Are they going to chord for 1? Alright, so we won't know about the other chord, and this chord's out, and they just go get a bird. Sure. I don't know what that means. Why would they get bird? Let's bauble them again. They're about to draw Urborg. Alright, I want them to do that. I'm getting the instinct to play Goyf out here. I think I'm going to, because if they're ramping, if they're getting bird to ramp into something, like, I don't know why they wouldn't otherwise get, for example, Youngwolf. So maybe they won't have the ability to double push next turn, so I'm just going to play a Goyf. We're also holding trophies still this way. I don't know how to read that chord for bird, so I'm just going to, when in doubt, do a proactive thing, play a Goyf. Man, we are drawing literally only lands in Mishra's Baubles, though. This is so bad. We've buried the opponent in card advantage, but we're not. Our draws are not allowing us to capitalize. But we have 3 fields in a trophy, so maybe we can wreck them as far as basics go and take them off of white. That might be a strange pivot that we can make. I wonder also if the bird is to make a second white for Skyclave Apparition, which could be a thing that they have drawn. Their hand is still 2 pushes, just 1 unknown. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. Hope you guys are all having fun. I am. When the rock is competitive in just about any game, it's fun, you know? Good, clean Magic can't beat it. OP tankin'. And then just passing? Allowing us to get another redraw off of Lurrus. Lurrus is just going to town here, I guess. We draw Hexdrinker. Alright, well that's a monosync if I've ever seen one, but... Let's go Bauble. Opponent about to draw another chord. They might have another one in hand. It's one explanation for doing nothing here. It's unclear whether we should attack with both in order to get both pushes out of their hand and just plan on winning with a Hexdrinker, but they might be able to beat Hexy. So I think I'm just going to kind of still let them make the first move. Like, we're the ones with all of the extra cards every single turn until they manage to beat it, right? It's a really weird play pattern, but it'll also be nice to find a spot where we can play Hexdrinker and make it level 8, like, all at once. So they can't beat it with anything, if the game goes that long. Alright, so it's another chord. So their hand is still just 2 fatal pushes. Auric Champion? Sure. Yeah. Okay. Don't think I care much. Okay, in response to our Bauble, opponent will push the Goyf, sure. They're about to draw Strangleroot Geist. Yeah, I don't care about that at the moment. I'm just going to let them still be unable to kill our Lurrus here. Alright, now we're hitting some spells, at least. Another trophy, Thoughtseize. Our land destruction plan is going to be really good when we eventually pivot to it. Auric Champion out of Yawgmoth. What a time to be alive. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can't Thoughtseize and play the Hexy with complete impunity yet. Let's just Thoughtseize away the push. It's crazy how relevant Lurrus' CMC has been this entire game. How different it would have been if that push was an Abrupt Decay this whole time, right? I'm going to buy back Goyf instead of a Bauble. And then on their draw step, I'm going to try to field them off of double white. Actually, we should do it now in case they draw another push for turn. We don't want Revolt getting us next turn, so. Alright, they have no white land to get, so for now we can expect they're off of double white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so next turn we can play. We still can't quite play and make Hexdrinker level 8. I think at this point we should just wait till we can definitely do that. Okay, gotta start playing a little quicker. They're about to draw Verdant Catacombs, we'll allow it. So I'm going to play Blooming Marsh. Say go. Let them draw a brick. And then on the end step, double field to start basic checking them. Okay, they have Marsh Flats as well, so they show us a land we didn't know about, so time to just start taking all their basics out if they're on a low count, which they probably are. Yup. Not that it probably matters a ton, but still feels really good. We're showing the wide range of things that the Rock can do here. That is for certain. We can now also trophy. I guess there's nothing good to trophy. Let's not bother. Go for the throat. Alright. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's time, my friends. It's time for the mini Progenitus. I don't see a huge need to attack with Goyf into Geist. I'd rather just, like, play for any possible reason that matters as far as life totals go or whatever. He's about to draw a Court of Calling. Card is live. We've got a million ways to kill whatever they get, though, and hopefully they just can't beat Hexy. I think we still know about the Verdant Catacombs in their hand, am I right? Obviously, this game has been extraordinarily complicated. Alright, is this just a Yawgmoth, or can they... Yeah, it's just a Yawg. Alright, looks like they are finally going to be able to beat the Lurrus. I would say Lurrus has done its job as a free 8th card that has drawn us like 10 more cards. Seems pretty good. But that was the whole purpose of burying them, followed by navigating to a point where we can stick a Hexy. It just seems so impossible for them to win from here, especially because we've got kill spells for Yawg. We can even trophy their lands if we want to. But yeah, bye-bye, Lurrus. Thank you very much for your service. F in the comments for Lurrus of the Dream Den. A very powerful card. There's the Catacombs that we knew about. An opponent's rebuilt, but again, to what end here? We've drawn Surgical Extraction, huh? That's kind of interesting. Let's just begin with a go for the throat on Yawg. Unclear what to do here. Cast out Agadeem's Awakening, get Lurrus back, get a Bauble back, still hold up Trophy. Sure. We could also extract all Yawgmoths. I don't know if I should. Blooming Marsh. Yeah, I'm just going to let them go. If they have another Yawgmoth, so be it. Wooded Bastion. Wow. Playing the green-white filter land. I've literally never seen that in Modern before. KOP with a Skyclave Apparition. Down goes Lurrus. Into another one. Whoa. Whoa. All right. Alright, this is going to be cool, though. We get to trophy an apparition and then eat the Auric champion in combat with our blue illusion. Draw another Hexy, sure. Seems good. Just gonna grab Swamp. Gonna play quick here. Push an Apparition. Make another Progenitus. Because it is amazing. Oh, I guess that doesn't work, sure. We're not holding up Trophy this way. I cannot imagine it matters. Just don't want to lose to the clock at this point. What an incredible, incredible victory here. We're down to 3 minutes on the clock. Opponent's down to 4. We finish the game with 2 Hexdrinkers at level 8 and 2 Illusions on the field. Oh my goodness. Lurrus was just off the chain that game, and we flooded so badly, and we drew a lot of air as well, but our deck was competing on almost every axis. We didn't have Graveyard Hate either, which made it a little bit complicated, and as the game went on, I could have sequenced a variety of different ways. Obviously, there were many windows where it would have been nice to consider a Surgical, and there were a few different things we could do once we had a wealth of options. Again, I'm just kind of trying to start playing a little bit more quickly there, so keep that in mind. In any case, I think we're awarded here. Again, thank you, Connor Smith, for having me play Yawgmoth, because otherwise I would not have been in my comfort zone here. But I think we navigated this one well, or obviously at least well enough to get there, but that was a crazy, crazy match. Opponent's White Splash for Skyclave Apparition looking extraordinarily powerful there, but obviously coming at the cost of some consistency, and it was cool how we could pivot to Field of Ruin, Assassin's Trophy related land destruction. Trophy remains the MVP of this league thus far. It has been a no downside modal sinkhole or murder this entire league basically. So yeah, awesome times. We are 3-0 with Mullies. Amazing, amazing rock list. Are we calling it Snake Rock or maybe Assassin Rock? I don't know. We've had too many MVPs to choose from, but on we go, my friends, to round 4. Round 4, my friends. Starting to get on a die roll winning streak. That is all to the good, and we have a, pretty fine opener. The lands are really painful, but it is a hand that can beat Red deck wins despite that, so it's a definite keep. I think I'm probably just going to bite the bullet and shock in Agadeems to Inquisition here. Opponent probably thinks we're on an MDFC combo deck, but we're not. We're playing a one of value in a mid-range deck, Agadeems, as Richard Garfield would have intended if he had designed that card, which he wouldn't have. See what the opponent's up to here. Oh, an opponent playing Shadowspear too. It's a Shadowspear mirror. What is up? I don't know what that means. Is this Jeskai Stoneblade? Maybe. Either way, that's Bolt, Opt, Shadowspear, Bone Crusher Giant. Probably just taking the Bone Crusher here. Taking the 2-for-1. Hoping it is good enough. Opponent's lands are right now only representing blue-white, but obviously with Bone Crusher and Lightning Bolt, we better assume they're playing a red land. Or 2 or 5. Thoughtseize seems okay, but I think now's a decent time for a Goyf. Yeah, I think let's get the Goyf down under whatever they could have. Goyf is going to be nice and big by the time they crack that fetch land. Jeskai confirmed with Rogren Triome. And no opt. Hallowed Fountain will be shocked in, and the opponent will then pass. Alright. Let's go for the Thoughtseize. We can beat Remand. We can trade with Monolink. Or we can just resolve it, and then probably resolve a Scooze if we have the freedom to take Bolt, which I don't know how likely that is, but yeah, Force of Negation is the opponent's draw. I guess we are taking Lightning Bolt. And we're going to assume that the power of these beaters is going to be enough. I really value having a second threat around. Exactly how good Scooze will be, I don't know, but they can obviously always draw removal spell for Tarmogoyf. They will top with the Opt. Got it. Mystic Gate, Force of Negation, Shadowspear, Mystic Sanctuary. And they played an island, so there is one unknown. Got it. Okay, we connect. Unfortunately, we're not quite representing lethal, but I think I want to fetch main phase because I want to get a third green, but I also want... I don't think we'll need to Fatal Push. I don't think we'll need to hold that up for Revolt for Fatal Push specifically. So we're going to be pretty aggressive with our life total here, and I think it's correct. I don't want them to be able to respond by doing like Bolt Snap Bolt or something if we have to fetch to try to activate our Scooze. Ooh, opponent found Archmage's Charm. That is terrifying. It's also good to know about because that can blow out Hexdrinker really badly. Definitely need to be mindful of that. That's a really good find for OP, though. Right when they're on the ropes. They'll still just concede, though. Wow. Okay. Okay, guys. Seems good to me. Seems really, really, really good to me. So I'm assuming Jeskai Stoneblade. I don't know why else Shadowspear would be in there. With that in mind... Probably going to sideboard relatively conservatively, Veil of Summer. I assume we want all three, but they're interacting a lot with red and white. Nevertheless, the upside is simply so high that it's hard to say no to. I'm going to cut both Shadow Spears here, I'm afraid. I think that's pretty fine. I'm tempted to leave all 4 Fatal Push in. We don't want Stoneforge running away with the game. They're playing Bone Crusher Giant. They might be playing... other cards like Brazen Borrower is one example. And if they're a deck that is trying to finish us off with Bolt, Snap, Bolt, plus some attacks, or a similar play pattern, I think that is probably at least justifiable, especially on the draw when we might be a little bit more defensive to play all 4 pushes. I think playing exactly 2 Scooze is fine here. Don't need to bring in the third. I don't really see the need to bring in much else, honestly, until we see more out of the deck that was unexpected. So maybe we can just cut a single Fatal Push. I think that's playing with 3 is more than enough on average if we're not sure. Okay, I'm cautiously optimistic about our configuration. I think there are some... There's like more of a wrong half problem potential in a few different ways than we're maybe used to having, but at the same time, maybe our card quality is higher relative to the opponents than we're used to seeing when we're on the rock against control. That's how I would kind of sum it up here going into a somewhat blind game 2. We've got a totally fine keep. Absolutely justifiable keep. Nothing wrong with it at all, really. Could always get a little bit better, but we'd be We would be churlish to complain about an opening hand that is as solid as this one. Okay, we've drawn a third Tarmogoyf. Well, let's hope those are really good. T1 Inquisition. Stoneforge Mystic, double Brazen Borrower. Wow. Well, I kind of called that one, and, well, it's just a handful of X for ones, or 2 for ones to be exact. I think I'm still going to take the Mystic. The Borrowers are just so annoying to play against and play through, but in theory, we will get there over time. I don't want to get cheesed out by Stoneforge Mystic, right? Maybe they just drew another one, though. They're fetching main phase, and if so, at least we do still have our Fatal Push. If they did draw another one based on our take, they'll probably go get Batterskull, assuming we can't kill it, and then we'll just kill it. Hopefully we'll draw another Inquisition along the way. We don't, but we draw a missing third land, so that's pretty good. But yeah, we get to push Mystic, and I think I'm committing to probably not casting Agadeem's Awakening this game, so we'll get the more painful land down. I'll say no. Alright, really wanted to draw another Inquisition there. But discard will be good for a while, especially if it's Thoughtseize. It can hit Batterskull, and ask and you shall receive. There is a Thoughtseize right off the top. Spell Snare. Ooh. Whoa. Okay. We're in some... man, that's such a good draw for the opponent. Still feel we kind of have to take Batterskull. We don't have an answer to it. This game's obviously going long. Yeah. We'll take the Batterskull, and then we're going to run out a sacrificial Scavenging Ooze into that Spell Snare. Because we're just not... We can't play the tempo game better than the Brazen Borrower deck can. So, they don't even take the bait. They just petty theft it back, which is fair enough. So they still have got that Snare. They play a Sanctuary. So their hand is Snare, Borrower, 1 unknown. We draw Trophy. Now I'm going to tempo them out, because we missed a land drop and put Lurrus into hand. But it's not really a good place to be. It's just kind of one of many, many reasons Companion is still ridiculously powerful. But opponent's going to get the beats going with the Borrower here. And there's a red land. Us with a Thoughtseize, that's pretty well timed. I'll use it. Will opponent just like flash in another fairy and try to win the race? They probably would have a good chance of doing so. Yep. Okay. Where is our Maelstrom Pulse when we need it? Oh man, they have Lightning Bolt too. Their draws have been so good. Alright, I think we have to assume... Wow. How interesting. Okay. I'm going to take the Spell Snare. We kind of have to get lucky and win a race here. So here's my Goyf. We're at a virtual 2. But Snare also could have countered the Goyf, preventing us from winning a race ever. Also could have countered a Trophy if they wanted to play more reactively with it. We draw Fatal Push. Oh, so close, but so far. We cannot turn it on. We cannot turn on a Revolt, so we are just dead. Would we be dead if we'd played the Skoos? Yeah, just missing the 4th land is what's really doing it here. Yeah, okay, no need to show them our specific removal suite. Yeah, I'll just concede. Opponent's just going to attack. Okay. Well. That was a little rough, but when I saw that opening hand, I was like, big yikes, this could really just get there. And I think our sideboarding plan was confirmed as valid. If anything, I kind of want another Fatal Push or maybe a Deadweight or even a Go for the Throat could be good. Go for the Throat being the least conditional. Deadweight having the highest upside and Fatal Push being the best card in a vacuum. I think I'm going to play a single Go for the Throat for instant speed and lack of conditional nature of the card. So, strangely enough, maybe we... No, I think we're supposed to leave both pulses in. Their removal, and they also can hit the equipment. Strangely enough, thinking about inching away from a single Veil of Summer. I know how strange that is, but if the opponent's on that type of plan, they wouldn't even have been good. I think I'm going to do it. Fully committed to accepting that that could just be incorrect. And maybe I'm reacting too much to the game that we just played. But that is my tweak, and I'm going to run it. I still value a couple spell bombs for the loot potential, and they still could be on Snapcaster Mage. Also, we know they're on Mystic Sanctuary. They're just such a free roll inclusion. If you have any uncertainty, you can leave the spell bombs in, right? I don't know what to make of this hand. It's a little underwhelming, but if they don't have a bolt for Bob, or bolt or spell snare, I think it's pretty good odds that we pull away with the game. So I think I'm going to keep it. Also, mulling in this type of matchup seems really bad for us. And I will begin by bobbling myself to control my draw. Inquisition of Kozilek. Awkward. But we'll take it. Oh, we've drawn a Hexdrinker. That makes it all much less awkward. Cool. So we can play good old IOK into Hexy and not have kind of time-walked ourselves at all. Spell Snare, Snapcaster Mage. I knew it. Lightning Helix. Wow, okay, but no red land yet? Oh boy. And then Archmage's Charm. Think I should take Charm. Hope they don't draw a red land for a little while. They have Embercleave in hand too. Obviously, Spell Snare and Snapcaster are really rough together. The Charm is going to be really good no matter what though, and for now I'm going to commit to a Hexdrinker plan. I think I'm going to also value my life total enough to fetch up Basic Forest, even though they could still be on Path to Exile. If they just do nothing here, I'm just going to make Hexy level 3. Can Hexdrinker steal us another game? Yes, it can. Absolutely. Will it? Sure. Let's say it will. I'm optimistic. OP has found a red land, but they still can't Helix it right now. So let's get to level 3 while the getting is good. Opponent says yawn. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm not walking into your permission, OP. Apologies. Yawn. I don't think Hexdrinker is boring at all. I think Hexdrinker is really exciting. We have a lot of ways to not walk into permission, putting Lurrus into hand, leveling Hexy, even holding up Trophy, right? In fact, next turn I could see us playing a land, putting Lurrus into hand, putting Hexy to level 4, threatening level 8 next turn, and saying, can you beat this stuff, OP? Okay, opponents found 2 red lands, which is pretty good for them. We found a Scavenging Ooze, sure. I'm going to begin by attacking. Alright, so we're threatening Mini Progenitus, Lurrus Bauble Loop, and we've also got a bunch of other just cards in hand that can do decent things. The big question is, can this Jeskai deck beat a level 8 Hexdrinker with anything? Like, can they answer it? I know there are circumstances which they could win a race against it or something, but... And with Helix Snap Helix coming, I'm definitely not discounting that in the least. Opponent is at 10 now, but they're at a virtual 16. So we have to put Hexdrinker all the way up to level 8 next turn, and then they're still on a 3-turn clock at best for us. They could gain more life. They could, I don't know, have a sweeper effect. They could stall with cryptic tap downs, but they don't Helix us on the end step, so they're looking for a different path to victory here. We have drawn Swamp. Just going to go for level 8, see what happens. Might as well save Awakening in hand at this point, right? Should we have made it level 9 just to send a message? Maybe. Maybe. Opponent then flashing in Snap. Okay. I think that means they have another Snapcaster in hand. That's the way that play would make sense. Committing fully, of course, to racing here. Opponent plays the Glacial Fortress that we knew about. No is it Embercleave? Okay. Yep. Veil of Summer. Interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Okay, so we have 5 lands to work with, one of which is painful. I'm assuming we want to hold up Veil, but that might not necessarily even be clear. Probably the safest line is to play Scooze, hold up Veil, hold up Trophy, hold up Scooze activations. Obviously, Lurrus has a really high upside. Opponent, it further explains the yawn. I'll say no worries. Scoo's even that appealing, though. I mean, it is at beating Snap Helix, which I think is kind of the signal they're sending to us. It's slightly better than losing to a Tef. And, you know, to be clear, Hexdrinker doesn't generate card advantage, has many windows of opportunity, doesn't shut off an entire phase of the game. But I understand where opponent's coming from, right? Anyway. The main reason I'm tanking over this is because it's like, we're not representing that much with only 2 green. And so, like, playing Lurrus, actually... I'm going to play Lurrus over Scooze. Opponent says you should draw with Castle. Opponent about to draw land, okay. This should at least give the opponent the inability to kill us. Opponent says, Jesus, you could have straight up killed yourself there, yeah, with all the pain inherent in maximally using all of our resources. Opponent says, what a surprise. I guess it's because they drew a land. Yep, opponent mentioning the flood. Playing Lurrus was bad. I should have just played Scooze, because Spell Snare is going to beat Trophy. But I guess, like, making them use it is okay, too. Hopefully they won't have enough juice to just beat us with this, but I should have probably just played. Scavenging Ooze. Just tanking a little bit over the decision, but good luck in the rest. Yeah, thanks. Same to you, my friend. Sven Sviter Sven. Unlucky, OP. Definitely unlucky with the Flood, and, you know, Jeskai is a really cool interactive deck. I do understand where the OP is coming from with Hexdrinker, but again, Hexdrinker is such a different story than Teferi to me, for reasons I just went into. But, yeah, I also kind of hate tanking over decisions there at the very end when we have a nearly deterministic win. You know, hate to waste people's time that way, but maybe some of that stuff was worth thinking about. We got a little tangled up by our lands in terms of being able to, like, that's why it was so hard for me to parse out that decision, right? Because we only had 2 green lands to operate off of. One of them is painful. We're worried about bolt snap bolt lines. We have a lot of lines that kind of all do the same thing. Mostly, I do think maybe Scavenging Ooze was better there, but in any case, we're on to round 5. Good times. 5th and final round, my friends, winning the die roll yet again. Getting a no-lander for the first time. Obviously, you need to mulligan that. That really sucks. Once again, it seems like we've done this every time we've mulliganed this league. We're probably looking to ship the Shadowspear. On the other hand, we could bottom Peatland and hope to get really rewarded for keeping a lifelink piece of tech and bottoming a painful land against an aggressive deck. I'm going to follow my instinct here and bottom the Peatland, hope to get lucky, but a big way we unmull ourselves is to draw the 3rd land, is to have the 3rd land, put Lurrus into hand, loop Bauble. But we're going to draw a 3rd land with the Bauble redraws anyway, right? So, sure, let's keep bottom Peatland, I guess. Turn 1, Shadowspear, Mishra's Bauble. Pass to you, and I'm going to Bauble on their upkeep. In case they are a discard deck, which I do kind of hope they're not. We're going to see Ghost Quarter. Okay. Could be taxes, could be utility land out of a big mana deck. Looking like taxes. Looking like taxes to me. We have drawn Thoughtseize and Hexdrinker. What a couple draws. At first I was like, ooh, Thoughtseize, better last turn. Hexdrinker is literally so good, just because it's a Savannah Lions that then eventually wins you the game. So that's going to be our line for sure. They have double Thalia, Stoneforge, Mystic, Leonin, Arbiter. Well, Stoneforge is a big problem. Big problem. But Arbiter is also a big problem. It's in the sense that we can't kill it. And it's going to... I mean, both of these cards... If they only had one of these, I would be feeling pretty okay. Because they have both, I think we need to take the Arbiter. It reveals that we don't have a kill spell in hand, but... So they get Stoneforge down underneath removal. Yeah, I really do wish the Shadowspear was a third land right now, I think. It could become relevant, for sure. Especially if the game goes really long and, like, we're forcing interaction through, like, Giver of Runes or something. Opponent will go get Batterskull, sure. We draw Scooze. Yep, wishing we had a third land over the Shadowspear for now, though. I'm going to offer the trade here. Definitely, because we have all threats and no removal. They'll take it? Wow, I didn't expect that, but I think that's good for us. Obviously, the way things play out, anything could happen as a result of that, but I think that's good for us on the whole. Means we don't have to trophy Batterskull early. And Goyf is much bigger than Thalia, even as a mere 3/4. So let's hope they haven't drawn anything better. So far, it doesn't look like they have. Oh, we draw Pulse, though. The clunk just continues. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm going to value Scooze here over equipping Shadowspear, but if we have nothing better to do, then we'll equip Shadowspear next turn. Oh, feels so bad. This is such a winnable matchup, even game one, maybe even especially game one, with our configuration. Although we have a pile of removal. Anyway, it's such a winnable matchup overall, but we mulliganed, we're getting clunked up, and now we do not have castable kill spells because we're being taxed out of them. However, opponent might not have a whole lot going on, so if we can just draw third land, which we do, that's nice. Okay, that is nice. So we could put Lurrus into hand, which is a good long-term play, or we could equip Shadowspear and try to really race them. I think we're going race mode at the moment. I really like that draw of Locthwain, though. It's a We needed the third land. It's painless, and it's also not a basic. Opponent chumping with a Thalia. So the first strike has been assigned. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to eat with a Scooze here. Sure. Commit to the racing plan. I mean, if they have a path or... No, they don't have a path. Okay. Wow. Then they will field us. I guess we get a forest here to maximize Scoozy. We are as rewarded as can be for taking Arbiter, by the way, rather than Stoneforge Mystic, with that turn 2 Thoughtseize. I'm assuming opponent has a 5th land, because if they're anything, I think they're flooded. They sure do. We draw Fatal Push. All right, we cannot use that. We could Trophy, but then that's ramping them and turning on a land. But if we... Artifact is already in the yard. Sorcery is already in the yard. I'm trying to find out if we have lethal. So what if we Trophy the Batterskull? Goyf is a 5. We're still putting them only to 1. So let's just Pulse. The aggro plan really working out for us here so far. That's the concession. All right. All right. BG the Rock. Love to see it. So against mono white taxes, we have so many things to do. You could play a Scooze. Don't know that we will. Definitely playing Deadweight and Go for the Throat. And EE is a real possibility as well. Probably want at least one of those, but we'll have to see how many slots we have to take out, right? Shadowspear, at least one could get cut. I'm just straight up putting all this stuff in. So, probably cutting both spell bombs, especially because they could be on Rest in Peace anyway. Shadowspear number 2 is a borderline card. You could trim a Bob on the draw easily enough. Maybe 7 discard spells is a little bit too many. I could cut a Thoughtseize here. So we could cut all 3 of these cards and play 2 EEs, or we could like leave in a single Shadowspear, which seems okay. So I think I'm definitely cutting Bob for an EE. Maybe 2 Scooze is the optimal number. So do we want a second EE? Yeah, I think we can play with only 3 Thoughtseizes is probably correct. I just envision EE being a little clunky on the draw. Super high upside. A real borderline decision. I mean, it should be one or the other of EE and Shadowspear, because they do make each other worse, right? Just playing another 1-drop alongside an EE that often will go on 1. Why don't we just play without Shadowspear? We'll just go full removal mode. When in doubt, against a mono-white taxes deck, erring on the side of removal. Seems pretty good to me. Okay, we have a really nice opener. 3 lands, some utility, some color variety, push, Hexy, Goyf, Pulse. It's a good hand. We wanted to see the opponent mulligan as we always do, but it is still a fine keep. No turn 1 play yet again from the opponent, just like last game. Really rewarding us for having a Hexdrinker, and we draw Deadweight. Let's go. Deadweight OP. So I'm going to Deadweight, I think, literally anything they play. We want to be able to hold up push for the future. So Thalia. Thalia dies to Deadweight, and that will be our play. Got to be careful not to play Castle Locthwain here while we draw Blooming Marsh anyway. Because Castle's still entering tapped for the foreseeable future. Deadweight getting its time in the sun. You love to see that. And that'll represent a real game-winning loop with Lurrus if we can continue trading in the early stages here. Arbiter and a GQ. That really sucks, but at least we've drawn enough lands where it's not like a disaster here. We're definitely pushing. And we're going to get a level on Hexy. Here comes that snake. Alright, nothing else too broken from the opponent, please. Okay, there's not going to be another Ghost Quarter. Okay, Skyclave Apparition, sure. Obviously it's incredibly good, but we can beat it. And we haven't invested too much into Hexy. So are we supposed to just pulse that main phase, or maybe just put Lurrus into hand? I think putting Lurrus into hand is good, because it really puts the onus on the opponent to then stop the Deadweight loop that's incoming. Or I can just play the wrong land. Geez, I forgot about that. But that does change everything, so are we really going to shock this in and then still not maybe be able to loop? But admittedly, I forgot all about that. So we're just playing a Tarmogoyf, and that's actually something that is like really reasonable here too anyway. But I didn't think that one through enough. But if I had, I might have come to this conclusion. I don't really want a trophy yet, if I can help it. And like pulsing there is okay, but I guess not that necessary yet. Imagine if they play another apparition here. Winds of Abandon. Sure. Alright, now do we shock in, put Lurrus in hand, play another Goyf? I'm going to. Another Goyf was a good draw for that reason. We're taking a lot of pain, but given our hand, I don't expect that to be a deciding factor in the game. Sword of Light and Shadow. Pro-white, pro-black. Okay, we've drawn Go for the Throat, so we can pulse the sword, then kill the apparition, which would be fine. I think that's better. If we had a Bauble to buy back, maybe we would trophy, and then... No. Yeah, let's just... pulse the sword. And I guess we don't need to go for the throat or trophy main phase, do we? Despite being behind on life, we're about to be very much the aggressor here. This gives us the most options. And if they like find and play another sword, we could tempo them out that way too. Opponent cracking Canopy. Finding another one. And there they go on the dig. Giver, sure. So I think we're just going to kill Apparition here. Untap, kill Giver with Deadweight off of Lurrus. All the removal. All of it. And we get a 1/1 blue illusion. Should I put these illusion tokens on the cover or what? Oh my goodness. What a performance from your deck, Mully. Oh my. Alright. Let's get our another X for 1 here, and the opponent will likely just scoop because Deadweight is overpowered. Let's freaking go, Mully. My friend, you are a genius. You are a genius. I was like, okay, hold on. Let me collect my thoughts here. We 5-0. That's amazing. Let's tab back over to the collection here. Let me mute for a minute and have a drink. That was intense. Okay, I'm back. Mully, we did it, my friend. Thank you so much for sticking by your guns. I am there like, oh, what if we play 6 Cling to Dust effects? You know how bad that would have been in this league? Whereas Mully is just like, nope, we're going to play all the trophies. We're going to get the opponent's never going to draw a single basic off of them, which is pretty much what happened here. And we're going to fill our sideboard with, modern staples like Go for the Throat and Deadweight. And then in the 5-0 rubber match, we run into mono white taxes, and we're looping Deadweight, and we have Go for the Throat, which is really good in the matchup, supplementing all of our other removal. 200 IQ deck building from Mully, completely next leveling the meta here. This is just awesome. Like, I don't even know what else to say. I also will give myself at least a modicum of credit here by saying that Hexdrinker was by far our overperformer as far as the threat suite goes, and the 4th Hexy was the very first thing that I saw about the list that I wanted to add, and also the very first change that Mully agreed to. So between us, we have got a really unusual, really unorthodox, and really successful list, but 99% of the deck building credit goes directly to Mully. As I said in the opener, the only changes that I proposed that we both agreed on were adding a Hexy in place of a 23rd land and adding a basic swamp in place of a utility land. That's it. Otherwise, this masterpiece comes to us from Mully of the Veil Tier Patreon supporter. Thank you so much, my friend, for bringing us this wonderful list, again, for sticking by your guns, as well as for the great, generous support that you've given to this channel for so long. Really do appreciate that. I honestly have played better and done much, much worse. This was a 5-0 league where I stumbled my way through match 1, at least. I think my play from there was pretty good on the whole, but there were also a couple moments that I'm sure have been questioned by the viewers as they've seen it, and maybe I would question too upon looking back. But what Rock did here is very, very simple. We punched a hole in the game plan like we always do, and we exploited it, not so much by doubling down on attrition as we otherwise might with Liliana, or as a deck like Jund might with Kolaghan's Command, but by just playing Hexdrinker and leveling it up, or by bringing in our free 8th card Lurrus and looping Bauble to bury the opponent, or both. Or both, right? We've done both in a couple different spots here. But so many times we were rewarded for, like, keeps that were okay. And you know what card was completely off the hook, like, difficult to describe how good it was here, was Mishra's Bauble, because so many of our keeps that were like a little underwhelming early, but they were justifiable, maybe because we mulled to 6 or maybe because it's a blind game 1, we would draw a card off of the Bauble and then draw for our second turn. And so many times we found the ability to double spell, whether it was like Inquisition into Hexdrinker, which is the dream, or sometimes other things happened. Maybe we played a Spellbomb or a Shadowspear in a couple spots. You get the idea. The more we are able to curve out early with Mishra's Bauble, just seeing that one extra card in a deck like ours that wants to use every available source of mana every single turn, but also does not have card selection. Mishra's Bauble has been amazing at facilitating that, and of course at burying the opponent late game, mid game, late game, whenever it comes down when Lurrus decides to join the fray. So there we go, my friends. Sorry about my shaky play against Belcher. I need my reps in against that. But our configuration was great against it. Against Oops All Spells, I was more confident. Our configuration is arguably even better, because we still have the same disruption, including Trophy as a sinkhole, and then we also have a ton of graveyard hate on top of that. What else did we even play? Let me cast my mind back. I know it was Taxes round 5, Jeskai round 4. Oh, it was Abzan Yawgmoth in round 3. I don't know what to say about that one. They had some insane chains of apparitions early, and that's the main incentive to play white. They're playing Aureate Champion too. It's really, really spicy, Abzan Yawgmoth, but we did get there. That was a hyper-intense game, and Lurrus, Hexdrinker, both still amazing there. And then round 4 against Jeskai, we were able to disrupt an aggro in game 1. We got pretty well tempoed out and aggroed out, strangely enough, in game 2. And then in game 3, it was the Hexdrinker show. We disrupted just enough to give Hexy free reign where the opponent couldn't really beat it. And then in round 5, Mono White Taxes is a very good matchup for the Rock, but you do really need to know your way around it. We just drew a critical mass of removal spells in both games, especially in game 2. In game 1, the opponent's... we were able to take Leonin Arbiter and stop ourselves from getting strip mined out of existence, and then from there we kind of clawed our way back in. Game 2, we never didn't have it. Game 2, we had the whole thing on lockdown. Even if we were not able to establish a Lurrus loop, I still think we were pretty far ahead, but Lurrus looping deadweight, you can't beat that. Even in 2020 Modern, you still can't beat that, if you're Texas anyway. So thank you so much for watching, my friends. Thank you to all Patreon supporters. It means the world to me. I don't get to play that often, right? Right now, I am averaging 1 league per week, because there are a couple weeks where I don't play at all and a couple weeks where I get to play 2. I've been back and forth, but this week, as I'm recording this, maybe get to play a little bit more. Hopefully have a busier month in November as far as getting games in goes. So anyway, I'm just happy when I can maintain good results, which we have done on the channel. Every single league since CNR came out has been positive, but this was the first 5-0. I think we've had more 4-1s than 3-2s, and then a 5-0 to crown it all off. It's great. People who can grind multiple leagues per day almost every day, they'll get 5-0s eventually. For me, and I know for those of you out there who also only play a league or 2 a week, a 5-0 is pretty special. So there we go. This was our not annual 5-0, our traditional first 5-0 for a season. Feels good, and obviously feels great to do it with my favorite deck of all time, The Rock. I hope we get published, because Mully, your list is really, genuinely, unironically, 200 IQ, deserves to see the light of day, and let's hope we get there. So thank you again for watching. Thanks again to Mully, and let me know what you think about the list. I will see you guys in the comment section, and I will see you for the next video. If you are enjoying this content, please do give me a subscribe. Be so kind as to click that subscribe button. Be so kind as to leave a thumbs up, perhaps leave a comment for the algorithm as well. And if you're really enjoying the content, patreon.com can earn you donation leagues just like this one over time. Link to the explanation for that in the description below. It also gets you into my Discord, which I am not saying this to sell you on it. I am saying it because it is true. It is the best community in Magic, period. I stand by that. I think that is empirically true, and we have a great time in there. So thanks again to everybody doing that. Thanks for watching once more, and I will see you for the next video.